Shawnee County Commissioners made a big decision this week on the future of wind and solar development in the county. We are diving into that a bit more this afternoon with Commissioner Kevin Cook. Welcome to you.
Welcome.
Let's start with the solar one because that was unanimous. A one-year moratorium on solar development in the county. What does that mean?
So a moratorium is just a pause. So think of it in that way. This is a pause for us to say we're not going to be approving any new solar farms, any new solar arrangements. Now, that would apply to commercial. That doesn't apply to residential, or private land or private ownership. So this is really talking about those commercial ventures, larger solar farms. We won't be having any of that over the next year while we look at developing rules and regulations and what the industry standards are.
Wind energy, though, the vote was 2-1 to ban wind developments in the county. You were the lone no vote. What's your concern with this ban that is now in place?
Well, I think that you have to look at, from my perspective, what I was looking at was that we haven't had any applications for wind. We don't have any applications that are on the agenda. We don't have really companies that are banging down the door to have wind farms in Shawnee County. And when you look at Shawnee County, much of the topography just really is not conducive for wind farms. When you look at the airfields, when you look at urbanization, when you look at where the available land is, there's not a lot of areas that would be ripe for wind farm, and that's where I was coming from, that maybe we should have more of a moratorium just like we had with solar. But the other two commissioners felt very strongly that why even open the door? Let's set the rule down now that we're not even considering it, and so that is the reason for the ban.
Is there any concern over what message either of these votes send when it comes to concerns about climate change, concerns about the environment, to kind of say no to alternative energy?
No, I think that was a topic of discussion, that we were not taking a position against alternative energy. That's not really where the vote was coming from. Now, again, in the past, we have approved solar farms. We've approved 2 solar farms so far in Shawnee County, but really looking at what are the rules and regulations and sending a message to the companies of these are the things that we expect in Shawnee County.
There are a couple big issues on the table for the city of Topeka, and part of the discussion really looks at what exactly is the relationship between the city and county on these issues going to be. One of those is Hotel Topeka. The city, as we know and have been reporting, the city purchased Hotel Topeka. They're looking for someone to operate it. Adjacent to Hotel Topeka and kind of in tandem when you talk about a lot of conferences and things like that is Maynard Conference Center, which the county owns. Where has the county been talking to the city on where you could partner? Would you kick in some money for some of these renovations to the hotel, which could be important to people who are looking at the conference center, or what's going on these discussions?
I think that you have to look at the Stormontvale Event Center. We just did a complete overhaul of the Stormontvale Event Center. Maynard Conference Center is attached to that Stormontvale Event Center, which is attached to the hotel. These are all tangible properties that are intertwined with each other. As far as the hotel goes, we do have a management contract between the hotel and Maynard Conference Center. So that, again, the person who's operating the hotel is also the one that's in charge of Maynard Conference Center. And that's a financial subsidy, but we also recognize that the Maynard Conference Center is going to be needing some updates here in the near future. There's things that always happen, and people might say, well, why didn't you replace everything when you were doing the Stormontvale Event Center? You realize it's been a couple of years now since we've finished the Stormontvale Event Center, and things age. I mean, that's just what happens with materials. And so we're looking at new air conditioning, new chillers, new heating, and also just updates. I mean, carpet will wear out over time, and so sometimes you just need to do updates.
So you have some of those expenses as well, and is that kind of where you fall? The county is saying, well, we're not going to kick in money to improve your hotel because you're not going to kick in money, or we're not going to ask you to kick in money to improve our conference center.
Our contribution is improvement of the conference center, which should make the hotel a more appealable property to a prospective buyer.
Finally, homelessness. The homelessness task force that the city had put together is out with its recommendations, waiting for the new city manager to come on board before the governing body might move forward. The city is part of the county. Not everything is within the city limits. When you talk about our transient populations, what role can the county play and will the county play in addressing these issues?
Well, the county is in charge of the contributions for health. And I think that's one of the main things the county looks at. The county has the health department. A city does not have a health department. So when it comes to public health, that is a huge factor for us. Mental health, that's another huge factor. When you look at the amount of the contributions that Shawnee County makes towards mental health, subsidizing, on Monday's work session, we're going to be discussing an alternative court for individuals with persistent mental illness and looking at restoration to competency and being able to work with individuals that maybe are having mental illness with the court issues. And so those are things that we are looking at, is where can the county address homelessness through mental health, through the public health factor of the sector. But when it comes down to a lot of the city issues and addressing that, we have to look at, again, respecting each other's boundaries and what we can and can't do.
It is an interesting discussion, and one that obviously is going to get a lot of attention in the weeks and months ahead, because it's not an easy one for solutions. Commissioner Cook, appreciate the update. Thanks for being here. And still ahead, we talk a lot about Roth IRAs, so should you switch over your traditional accounts? We'll look at what you should consider next.